All right, you guys, I'm going to walk you through this worksheet. This is your homework, so this is what you're submitting tonight by 11:59. This will look a lot like what you need to be able to do for the quiz on Monday. So stick with me, or if you want to try it on your own, that's fine, but maybe just come back and flip through the video to make sure you got the right answers. That would be helpful. All right, so this first one, y equals 3/4 x minus 1. I'm going to do that in this color. So you're going to do a y-intercept of -1, and then with a slope of 3/4. So up 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 would put us right here. And then you're just going to draw that line in. Okay, so that's our first equation. Our second one, that didn't lay out as nicely as I would like. Hold on. It's always, when you're trying to find an intersection like this, you guys, it's always a good idea to just keep the slope going, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. If you're not drawing perfectly straight lines, which on my iPad is hard to do. It just doesn't line up as well. Okay, so that would be our line. The second line, this one here, x equals -4. Remember, x equals is a vertical line. So we're doing a vertical line at -4, which is going to be right here. Okay, and we are solving, and a solution is where do those things meet. So if you look, they both hit at this point right here. So your solution is the point -4, -4. Remember, when it's one point, we call that independent. Okay, not infinitely many solutions, not no solution. This is an independent one. Second one. You have y equals 1/2 x plus 2 and y equals 3x minus 3. So for the first one, we have a y-intercept of 2, so we're going up 2, and then a slope of 1/2, so up 1 to the right 2. And you might just want to do a few of those. You can go back the other way also, down 1 over 2. So our first line is going to look something like this. And then our second line, we have 3x minus 3. So down 3 for our y-intercept, that's this guy. And then we're going to go up 3 to the right 1, up 3 to the right 1, and look what happens. We land right on another point from our other line. So our graph is going to look like this, and this is going to be our solution. So that is the point 2, 3. And again, this is independent. It's just intersecting in one place. Okay, so that would be considered independent. All right, number 3. We have y equals 5/4 x minus 2 and -5x plus 4 equals -4. So for that one, I'm just going to rearrange this one right now. This is in slope-intercept already. We would like this one in slope-intercept. And you could do standard form, but you're going to get a harder number to work with in terms of making your graph look perfect. So this one's actually going to be easier if we just rearrange and put it in slope-intercept. So we have 4y equals 5x minus 4, and then we divide by 4. Okay, so we get y equals 5/4 x minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to use that equation instead of this top one here, instead of this guy. Okay, so if these are my two equations, then we are going to do this guy first, down 2, and then a slope of 5/4. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you notice, we have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So you should know right off the bat what your answer is going to be, but I do still want to see what the graph is. So let me graph this for you. Okay, here's our first line. Our second line, we're doing a intercept of -1, and then up 5 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, draw that line in. Okay, so it looks like this. Notice those are not going to intercept. Those are parallel. And when lines are parallel, there is no solution, right? They're not going to intersect anywhere. So there is no solution to that when lines are parallel. Okay, then let's look at the next one. Y equals 1/3 x plus 2. We're going up 2 to our y-intercept, and then up 1 over 3, or we can go down 1 to the left 3 to keep that going. So this is our first line. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we have that. And then our second line, you have y equals -x minus 2. So you're going to go down 2 and plot that point. That's our y-intercept. And then a slope of -1. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And again, if we go the other direction with it, look what happens. That's beautiful. We are going to draw this line in. And what happens is our answer is this point right here, and that point is the point -3, 1. Okay, and remember, when you hit at one exact point, we say that is independent. All right. So that's those graphs. So it says identify the systems above as independent, dependent, or inconsistent. I did that as we went. So that would be that. Oh, I guess I didn't identify this one. This guy here, this is called inconsistent when there's no solution. Okay. The rest of them we did. Yeah. When it's dependent, that's when they're the exact same line. So remember, dependent is same line. Inconsistent is parallel lines. Independent is 1 point for your answer. Okay. Okay, then solving. We're going to solve by substitution for these first ones. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to isolate a variable, right? And in this case, this is already isolated. Y is equal to 6x minus 11. So we're going to take out this y and we're going to put in 6x minus 11. So it's going to be this whole equation, -2 times x minus 3, and now we drop in our y value, which is 6x minus 11, equals a -7. Okay, and now from here we do some simplifying. So it's going to be distribute this, -2x minus 18x plus, because this is minus and minus, plus 33 equals -7. Okay. So combine like terms here. This is -20x. We're going to take away the 33 from both sides. So -20x equals -40, and then we're going to divide by -20, and we get x equals 2. Okay, and then once you have your x value, we're going to bring that x up to here and plug it back in. You can plug it into either one. The top one's just easier because y is isolated for you. So it's going to be y equals 6 times 2 minus 11. So y is going to be 12 minus 11, or 1. So your answer is the point 2, 1. right? We're always looking for a point here. Where did our two lines meet? They met at the point 2, 1. Okay. All right, look at number 7 here. So again, y is isolated, and this one's really nice because they're already telling us what y equals in terms of a number. So all we got to do is take out this y and put in the -2. So it's going to be 4x minus 3 times -2 equals 18. So 4x plus 6 equals 18. We're going to take away 6 from both sides. So 4x equals 12. And then divide by 4. So x is 3. Okay, and then what we know, once we know what x is, we'll plug that back in up here. So it's going to be 4 times 3 minus 3y equals 18. So 12 minus 3y equals 18. We're going to take away that 12. And we get -3y equals 6. And then divide by -3. So y is -2. Okay, that means our answer is the point 3, -2. Okay. All right, on to the next one. This one gets a little bit fancier. Again, with substitution, we're trying to isolate. So we want to get a variable by itself. And you look at all your variables here. The easiest one to isolate would be this one because it doesn't have a coefficient. Okay, so what we're going to do to isolate that is we're going to add 5x to both sides. So we get y equals, I like slope-intercept form, so I usually put the 5x at the front, 5x minus 2. Okay, and then we can take this 5x minus 2 and put it in place of the y in our other equation. So it's going to be -3x plus 6 times y, which we're going to plug in as 5x minus 2 because we know that's what y equals a -12. So it's this equation with this substituted. Okay, so now we distribute. We get -3x plus 30x minus 12 equals -12. Simplify here, so -3x plus 30x is 27x. And then we're going to add 12 to both sides. And right here, a lot of people make a silly mistake. People see this and they go, oh, it goes away. It zeroes out. -12 plus 12 is 0, and 0 is a number. So don't just like say, oh, no solution, it's 0. It's not no solution right now. Okay, this is equal to 0. So we get 27x equals 0. Well, we can divide by 27, and we get x equals 0. Okay, so x is 0. And then you can come back up. I like to go back to the one that I made here just because y is isolated then. So plug it into there. Y equals 5 times 0 minus 2. So y is -2, which means our answer is 0, -2. Okay. Okay, number 9. Look at your variables there. We have x, we have 3y, we have -3x, and -3y. None of them are isolated yet, but I would isolate the x in that top equation. Okay, so to do that, we would subtract 3y. So we get x equals -3y plus 1. Okay, so that's going to be our new equation. And we're going to substitute that right here. Okay, so it's going to be -3 times -3y plus 1. And then back to -3y equals -15. Okay, and now we can solve from there. So simplify. This is going to be, we're going to distribute 9y minus 3 minus 3y equals -15. 9y minus 3y is 6y, and we're going to add 3. So 6y equals -12. We're going to divide by 6, so y is -2. And then once we know our y, then we can come back up here. I would take that and plug it in right here. So x is equal to -3 times -2 plus 1. Okay, I just plugged it into this. So that's 6 plus 1, or 7. So x is 7. Okay, that means my answer, it's always xy. So 7 first, -2 second. And that'll be your answer. Okay, so that's substitution. Then we're going to do elimination. And for elimination here, you always want to find the opposite of a variable. So like for instance, in this first one, we have a +4 and we have a -4. That's what we want to see, because then we can add our two equations together. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. This one is already able to be eliminated. So we're going to add these two equations together. -4x plus 4x zeroes out. There's nothing there, okay? It's 0. -2y plus 8y is 6y. And then -12 plus a -24 is a -36. Okay, well now 0 plus 6y is nothing. So that's why when that zeroes out, you don't need to write the 0 in right there, because 0 plus whatever was left on that side is 0. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We don't have to write that 0 down. If it's 0 by itself at the end of an equation where there is nothing else, you have to write it down. Okay, so divide by 6, we get y equals -6. And then we can plug that in to one of these top two equations. I would probably plug it in right here. So -4 times x minus 2 times, here's our -6. We're just substituting it in. So elimination uses substitution too, right? You're just re-plugging it in. Equals -12. So you get -4x plus 12 equals -12. We're going to take that 12 away. So -4x, this zeroes out, equals -24. Divide by -4, and we get x equals 6. So our answer is going to be the point 6, -6 for that system. Okay. Okay, this next one. Very close to not having to do anything to it, but you do have to do something to it. Right now, these -9s are the same. We want opposites so that we can add the equations together. Now, technically, like I said before, you could subtract them, and that would do the trick, but I feel like when you subtract, people mess up with negatives, so I don't recommend it. So instead, what I would do is I would multiply everything by -1. So that's going to make this positive, it's going to make this positive, and it's going to make this positive when we multiply it all by -1. So now if we add them together, -2x plus 4x is 2x. This will zero out. We don't need to put the 0 in because we have a 2x over there. 2x plus 0 is just 2x. And then -25 plus 23 is -2. We're going to divide by 2. So x is going to be -1. Okay, and then we're going to plug that in. And again, you can plug it into any of them. I would probably just plug it into that top one right here. So it's going to be -2 times -1 minus 9y equals -25. So 2 minus 9y equals -25. We'll take away that 2. So -9y equals -27, and then divide by -9. So y is 3. So that means our answer is the point -1, 3. Okay. Next one. This one we have some work to do because none of our coefficients are opposites. Those are not, right? I would multiply the bottom one by 3, the whole thing. because then I have a positive 15 with a negative 15 up here. So I'm just going to rewrite it. Negative 4x minus 15y equals negative 17. And then when we multiply this one by 3, we would get negative 3x plus 15y equals negative 39. Okay, and now we can add those two together. So negative 4 plus negative 3 is going to give me a negative 7x. This zeroes out, equals, this is going to be a negative 56 when we add those two together. So if we divide by negative 7, we get x equals 8. Okay, then I would come back up here and plug it in probably to this second one is what I would do. You can do it to any one of them. So it would be a negative x, so negative 8 plus 5y equals negative 13. So I'm going to add 8, and I get 5y equals negative 5, and then divide by 5. So y is negative 1, which means my answer is the point 8, negative 1. Okay, so we just had to multiply the one equation that time to get us opposites. Number 13, we don't have opposites here either, but I would probably multiply my top equation by negative 2. So negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x minus 2y equals negative 18. Okay, and then I'm just going to rewrite my second equation. 10x minus 7y equals negative 18. You don't have to do that part. I'm just anal about that. I like it to look really neat, so I want them lined up perfectly. So then what you do here is negative 10x plus 10x is 0, so that is going to zero out for us. Negative 2y minus 7y is negative 9y. And then negative 18 plus negative 18 is a negative 36. We'll divide by negative 9, so y is 4. Okay, and then I would bring that back up right here and say 5x plus 4 equals 9. So take away the 4, so 5x equals 5, and divide by 5, so x is 1. Okay, that means my answer is 1, 4. Okay. All right, we're getting there. Now is where they get a little more fancy. With 14, we can't just multiply one of these to get what we want. Okay, so instead, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both of them. And I usually just try to pick the smaller of the numbers that will get us there. But sometimes it's just whatever makes sense to you. Okay, so I would probably, actually on this one, I would probably make my x's 20 and negative 20 is what I would do. So I'm going to multiply the top by 5. That'll be negative 20. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom by negative 2, and that'll be my positive 20. So let's do that. This goes to all of them. So negative 20x minus 10y equals 14 times 5 is 70. Okay, then our purple one, distribute this to all of these. We would get a positive 20x minus 14y equals a positive 50. Okay, so now we're going to take these two and we're going to add them together. So this zeroes out. Negative 10 plus negative 14 is a negative 24y. And then 70 plus 50 is 120. So we're going to divide by negative 24. And we get y equals a negative 5. Okay. And then we take that and we plug it back in somewhere. So I would probably plug it in right here. Negative 4 times x minus 2 times negative 5 equals 14. So negative 4x plus 10 equals 14. Take away the 10. So I get negative 4x, that zeroes out, equals 4. and then divide by -4, so x is going to be -1, which means my point is -1, -5. Okay. 15. On this one, again, we're going to have to multiply both of them. Let me get my little scribbles out of here from that last one. So what we're going to do is multiply top and bottom by something. So I would probably multiply the top one here. I think I would do a +3. And then the bottom one, I would do a -5. And then we'll get 15 and -15 for our x's. So for that top one, we get 15x plus 12y equals a negative. 14 times 3 is going to be a -42. Then on bottom, let's send these guys over, we get a -15x minus 30y equals a -30. Okay, and now we're going to add those together. So this is going to be 15 plus a -15 is going to zero out for us. 12 plus a -30y is going to be a -18y. And then this is -72. Okay, we'll divide by -18. And we get y equals 4. Okay, and then we're going to take that y and we're going to plug it back in. I would probably plug that 4 in right here. So into this original, not being multiplied. So 3x plus 6 times 4 equals 6. So you get 3x plus 24 equals 6. We're going to take away that 24. And I get 3x equals a -18. Divide by 3. So x is a -6. So my answer is going to be -6 for my x and 4 for my y. Okay. All right, last question. This one's pretty, oh, not the last question. Oh, I lied, I forgot we have a whole nother page. Okay. What method would you choose to solve this system? So if you look here, you just have to explain it. You don't have to solve it. There's a -3x and a +3x, so that one's really easy just to add. So I would say elimination, because we already have opposite coefficients. And it's in standard form. Okay, standard form usually means elimination unless we have some rearranging to do. But if it's opposite coefficients and standard form, absolutely elimination. Okay. Okay, last 4. For these ones, it says set up a system of equations and then use any method to solve. So we're just going to set up what makes the most sense for each system. It says find the value of 2 numbers if their sum is 12 and their difference is 4. So 2 numbers, we'll call them x and y. That means if x plus y is equal to 12 and then their difference is 4, so that would be x minus y, difference is subtraction, equals 4. And notice we have opposite coefficients right here. So we can just take this and add them together. X plus x is 2x. This zeroes out. 12 plus 4 is 16. I wrote 14 though, 16. So divide by 2 and we get x equals 8. Okay, and then if you plug that in, 8 plus y, I'm plugging it into this one, you can plug it into either one, equals 12. We would subtract that 8, so y would be 4. Okay, so those would be your 2 numbers. X equals 8, y equals 4. We solved by elimination. Okay. Number 18, it says And you might want to just try these on your own first. Just test yourself. See if you've got this on your own before you listen to me do it. It says two angles are supplementary. Their difference is 66. Okay, so supplementary, their difference is 66. Find the measure of the angles. So if two angles, we'll say x and y again, you can call them whatever you want. If we add them together, they should equal 180. But then it says their difference, so we're going to subtract them. X minus y is going to be 66. Okay, again, we have opposites already, so I'm going to do elimination here. X plus x is 2x. This zeroes out. 180 and 66 gives us 246, and then we'll divide by 2. So x is 123. Okay, so if x is 123, then we can take that x and we can plug it back in. I'll do it right here. 123 plus y equals 180. So take away that 123, and y is going to be 57. So our two angles will be 123 degrees and 57 degrees. All right, 19. It says the school is selling tickets to a choral performance. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 3 adult tickets and 1 child ticket for a total of $38. The school took in 52 days on the second day by selling 3 adult tickets and 2 child tickets. Find the price of an adult ticket and the price of a child ticket. So I would say A is adult. Oops, that's a U. And C is child. Okay, that's how I'm going to define my variables. So look at what they're saying. 3 adult tickets, so 3A, plus 1 child ticket was a total of $38. Okay, the second day, 3 adult tickets and 2 child tickets was $52. Okay, so what you're going to do here, you have options. You could subtract them, okay, or you can make them opposites. So if I just multiply this whole thing by a -1, it would be a -3a minus 2c equals -38, and now I can add them together. Okay, so I'm just adding these two together because I multiplied this by a -1. So the 3a's are going to zero out. 2c, what did I do? Oh, I made that a 2. Sorry, I messed up. That should be a 1. Multiplied by -1. So 2c plus a -1c is just c. And then 52 plus a -38 is 14. So that means a child ticket costs $14. And then if we plug it back into our original, so 3a plus 1c is 14 equals 38. So 3a is going to equal, take away 14 here, 24, divide by 3. So a is going to be 8. This is so backwards. It's never more expensive for a child than an adult. So we would say it's $14 per child and $8 per adult. Okay, and then last one, it says Andrew sold 3 more than 6 times the amount of cookie dough that Jack sold. This is Mrs. Price's children. Together, they sold 38 boxes of cookie dough. How many boxes did Andrew sell and how many did Jack sell? So A is going to be Andrew, J is going to be Jack. Okay. And it says Andrew sold 3 more than 6 times. Okay. So Andrew is 3 more, that's plus 3, 6 times the amount of Jack. So 6 Jack plus 3, or you could do 3 plus 6J is fine too. But then it also says that Andrew and Jack together sold 38 boxes. So Andrew plus Jack equals 38. So this one's actually going to be easier to do with substitution. We're going to take this A and drop it in here. So it's going to be 6j plus 3 plus j, okay, so I'm just doing this, equals 38. So 7j plus 3 equals 38. So take away the 3, 7j is going to equal 35, and then divide by 7. So Jack sold 5 boxes. And then plug that back in to one of these up here. If we just go here, 6 times 5 plus 3 is 30 plus 3, or 33. So we would say Jack sold 5 boxes. Andrew sold 33 boxes. Okay, and that is the whole review.